Welcome back to this week's episode of Friends of Kayla. My guest today fled Syria as a refugee, built life in America, became an attorney, and since October 7th has been one of the most unexpected, powerful voices online for Israel and the Jewish people. He's Arab, he's Syrian, and he's proudly pro-Israel. Abraham Hamra, welcome to Friends of Kayla.
Friends of Kayla. Kayla, thank you for having me.
AB, I guess, right?
AB's fine, exactly. Okay. That's what everybody calls me. So now everybody on the internet knows I go by AB. That completely works. Thank you for having me on this podcast. You run an amazing show, so I'm excited to be on it.
Thank you. I'm very glad we're able to make this happen. It's been a couple years in the making, so I'm glad we were able to finally connect. You're pro at assimilation. You know what assimilation's like from coming from Syria, adapting to American culture. Tell me a little bit about where you're from and what life was like growing up in Syria.
I grew up in the Jewish community in Syria, in the Jewish enclave in Damascus. Obviously, we faced some discrimination, some violence, but we also had friends, neighbors who were Muslim, who were Christian. There were the Palestinian contingents that did live within the Jewish quarter that took the homes of Jews after 1948 when they came into Syria, that preyed on the Jewish community. There was a government who turned a blind eye, and in collaboration of both, a minority and a blind government, it became too much to handle. The Jews, unfortunately, though, couldn't leave Syria until 1992. In 1992, the U.S. reached a treaty with Syria, and my family was one of the last families out in 94. We lived a normal life, went to synagogue, had to, watch our back, understand our place, understand what we can say, what we can't say. Don't mention Israel on the phone. The Mukhabarat is listening. But other than that, my parents never made me feel super victimized. Even when we came here and we lived here, they never spoke about the bad times in Syria, right? It wasn't like, oh my God, you're such a refugee. It was always like, you're so lucky you speak English. You understand how far you can go in this country? So I never lived under the veil of victimization.
And you grew up speaking Arabic. Is that your first language?
Yes, Arabic is my first language. I grew up speaking Arabic, and I actually had to work really, really hard at getting rid of my accent.
I was going to say, you would never know. You almost sound like a true New Yorker.
I had to practice. It was not easy. I practiced in front of mirrors. I tried to copy the television. How are they speaking? How am I supposed to make my mouth look as I speak? I don't sound Arabic, or I don't sound Syrian. And for a very long time, I actually hid that part of my identity for whatever reasons.
So would you say that you identify, you carry a lot of different identities, right? Like you also speak Hebrew, but you're Arab, and now you're living in...
So I'm going to challenge you on
Tell
that.
me. Okay,
I'm going to push back on that a little bit. Growing up in Syria, and the Jews of Mizrahi worlds were never looked at in those countries as Arabs. They were lessers. They were dhimmis. They were the Christians, the Jews, the people of the book, not Arabs. My father, for instance, prior to Assad reversing this law in the early 70s, had a stamp on his passport. And almost every Mizrahi Jew you meet who lived in an Arab country will have the same stamp. And it says Musawi. Where it says your ethnicity, it says Musawi, not Arab, but people of Moses. So you understand your place, right? With that lesser designation, carried lesser rights. So for instance, before Assad reversed this law that I'm talking about, my father couldn't travel 10 kilometers from his house without a license. So we would, without a special permit, because he was a Jew. So we were never really looked at as Arabs. However, culturally, we did adopt Arab culture. And so internally, when we're speaking with one another on a very informal basis, and we have to refer quickly to an identity, you may hear a lot of people say, yeah, I'm an Arab Jew, or sure, I'm Arab, but they're not talking about it in a way of an actual defining identity, but they're talking about it more of a cultural, assimilated practices, right? I don't personally care. You can call me Arab Jew, not Arab Jew, but that's the difference there. And the reason people are making the distinction is we don't want to allow them to bury their history of violence and discrimination against us and othering against us, especially today, where they are acting as this minority that is helpless and the Jew is the majority, when in reality, the opposite is true. And so that is why I won't politically or publicly refer to myself as an Arab Jew, which implicitly gives them cover for their atrocities to us.
That's so interesting that you say that, because recently you and I were both at the Combating Anti-Semitism conference, and I met a guy there who I won't say his name, but he identifies as an Arab Jew because his father is from Yemen. So you're telling me that that's technically not politically correct.
Yes.
Interesting.
I mean, I don't know politically. It's just technically not correct, right? If we're looking at Arab as an ethnicity, he's not an Arab. I'm not an Arab, technically. Arabs came from Arabia. Syria is not an Arab country. It's an Arabized country. We have just taken it for granted that Syria, for instance, oh yeah, it's an Arab country. Why? Syria was a beautiful country made up of so many different minority tribes and groups. Assyrians, Christians, Jews, I mean, that were all colonized and taken over and Arabized. That's why it took on this Arab identity. That's not its original identity. That's not who it is.
Okay. So while you don't identify as an Arab, obviously you hold other identities. So what do you resonate with the most?
I love this question. It's so 2026. Like, what do you identify as? A unicorn.
I mean, yeah, you could listen to each their own, I guess. I don't know.
No, honestly,
maybe you're here to be like, hell no, let's not go with those names.
Honestly, I identify as an ex-Syrian Jewish refugee. If somebody wanted me to put a political label on me, personally, I just identify as a Jew. I'm Jewish. Like, that's it. It's that simple. But if they want to know more about me and something that's fully encompassing, it would be a Jewish Syrian ex-refugee. And I say ex-refugee very intentionally.
So what was your experience like coming to the States and like your relationship with Israel, like growing up in the household? Like what influence did your Zionism have on your family growing up?
Yeah, I mean, we've always held it from Syria, right? There's a podcast that just came out with Rabbi Hamra, who is one of the chief rabbis. Him and his brother were the chief rabbis in Damascus, Syria.
No relation?
They're my grandfather's cousins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so Rabbi Abraham Hamra helped a lot of the Jews escape Syria, and his brother Rabbi Yosef Hamra was also the rabbi in Syria. They had to print the Haggadah, the Passover Haggadah, for the population in Syria. Usually what it used to be before the big printing press and whatever, even like as early as the 70s, 80s, one person would go with one Haggadah and read for entire families. So now people were starting to learn how to read. Everybody wanted to read for their own family, and so they needed to print a bunch of Haggadot. One problem, the majority of the Jews in Syria don't speak Hebrew. Only a few amount of Jews know how to read the Hebrew to actually read the Haggadah. So now you need to print the Haggadah, and you also need to print it with Arabic translations. The issue is, at the end of the Haggadah, it says one sentence, L'shana haba b'Yerushalayim habnuya. It asks for Israel. It is a Zionist statement. It is that one sentence within itself is enough to get you killed by the Assad regime. So they went to the printing press. They didn't remove that sentence. They translated the entire Haggadah in Arabic and Hebrew, except for that last sentence. They kept fully in Hebrew without the translation in Arabic so they wouldn't get caught. That's how much Zionism meant to us. Even on the threat of death, under the threat of a theocratic dictatorship, we refused to abandon that one sentence at the end of the Haggadah. It was always the vision, but we were always scared about showing our pride of Israel, obviously. You never want to be accused of being a Zionist because that's the worst thing you can be. You're a traitor of the country. You kind of held it in Syria. You couldn't show it and be proud of it and wave your Israeli flags, right? Impossible. But when we came to America, it was almost immediate. You almost, all
like
of a
you
sudden,
felt free for the first time.
Right. It's like all of a sudden you're seeing people with Magen Davids, Kippot, saying the word Israel on the phone freely. For somebody that was like petrified, my mom was like 10 times telling me, no matter what you do, don't say the word Israel on the phone, Mukhabbarat, or whenever we had to call our family from America to Syria. We had like my father's brothers, few of my father's brothers left in 96 and 97. So 94, we'd have to call them. My mother would have to remind me they live in Syria. Don't mention Israel. Don't mention your Israeli Day Parade. Don't mention Zionism. Like, shut it. They are being monitored. So it was something that was always under attack, but that we refused to let go of.
So it's so interesting that you're saying that because now in America, this term Zionism has obviously become so weaponized. But, you're saying that when you came to America in the 90s, like to say that word freely, you felt totally comfortable doing so.
We didn't even explicitly state it, to be honest with you, right? Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm a Zionist. It was, I'm a Jew.
Yeah.
And it is obvious that as a Jew, I've been praying to return to Jerusalem. Israel's our homeland. Israel's a Jewish homeland. We're all for it. Like, we didn't get into the philosophical arguments of words of Sahiyuni, not Sahiyuni, Zionist. We never referred to ourselves as that. We just were Jews. And with that identity carried a very prideful Zionism.
I know, even for me, like, I feel like I didn't really know the term Zionism like until the last like few years, candidly. Like I always knew like where our ancestral homeland was and what that term meant, but like it's become this terrible word for some people. And I even have a friend who recently, she was like saying the word Zionist or Zionism in public, and her friends who are not Jewish were like, shh, like don't say that. And she's like, what do you mean don't say that? Like, I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna fucking say that because I am a Zionist. But the thought that that could even be like something to be fearful of is so crazy to me. But like you experienced it, well, in this country, number one, but you experienced that prior to even feeling like that was something to be fearful of in this country.
And Kayla, think how insane that is. This is the country where we loudly proclaim never again.
Yeah.
With all due respect, you can say you're a Zionist. You know what the worst is going to happen to you? A bunch of anti-Semites, a bunch of Jew-haters, a bunch of people who do not like you will cancel you from their life. That is their power. They can cancel you from their life. Nobody can cancel you from reality. Nobody can cancel you from the world. You can pridefully take your stance and not be ashamed. Like, you're not going to die for saying you're a Zionist, especially not today in America. You're not going to lose rights for saying you're a Zionist. As long as you're proud enough to stand tall with that identity and to be able to fight it and pursue any injustice that comes to you because of this identity, as long as that's the case today in America, then never again actually has a chance of standing true. But if we start being scared to express our Zionism because somebody's going to shame us, somebody's going to cancel us in their eyes, in their world, we're not worthy to be them, we can't fit in with them, so we're going to abandon us, then we've abandoned our promise, never again.
Well, I will push back on you on this one because I agree. Like, you should be standing loud and proud, and that's what I'm preaching, like with this podcast, because I was the girl that wasn't loud and proud for 27 years of my life, and I finally woke up. But there are people losing their jobs because they are being labeled a Zionist. So what do you say to that?
Absolutely. And
like, that is a repercussion of being loud and proud, right?
It is a repercussion because we allowed it to be a repercussion. Shame carries with it this power. It multiplies, right? Like, think about Black Lives Matter. I'm not making a political statement whether I agree with them or don't agree with them. I don't care. But think about the height of that movement. No matter how much you could have been against Black Lives Matter's tactics, you could have never spoken out because your business would have been boycotted. You would have been canceled in the eyes. The same thing is true today. They're introducing this element of shame into society, and this unreasonable shame is sedating people and sedating the logical and reasonable people. It is allowing a group of minorities to scream loud, to demand people get fired. Eventually, your rights are going to deteriorate. So whether you lose this job today or you don't lose this job today, tomorrow what's waiting for you because of your silence is going to be much worse. I felt a repercussion of speaking out. It wasn't free of consequence. I'm on a BDS list. I run an immigration law firm. I mean, this isn't like the most conservative field I'm in. I'm in the most liberal, progressive of fields. When I go to my conferences, half the people in kafiyas and this, and it is progressive city, and I stand as a proud Zionist. My firm has lost business the first 2 to 3 months, and then guess what? We gained it because everything for me, at least, is all in Yedei Shamayim. Hashem controls Parnasah 100%. So that fear is real, but the other thing that's also very real is the cost of not speaking out.
No, totally. You're absolutely right. And I think for me, like, understanding too, like, different perspectives is so huge. And I think you talked about this on a podcast that I was listening to, was like, Mizrahi Jews are so underrepresented in just like American society as a whole. I mean, speaking from personal experience, I'm an Ashkenazi Jew. Whether or not you believe so from my appearance, I'm Russian and Polish.
I believe you.
Yeah. But I grew up just like only knowing Ashkenazi Jews. And then moving to Miami was my exposure to like, oh my God, there's Jews from Latin America. There's Jews from Central America. There's Jews from Yemen. Like, I had no freaking idea. Like, I was so sheltered, and that's crazy because I consider myself to be pretty worldly, but like, I didn't even know within my own culture and my own religion. But we've talked about how Mizrahi Jews, Arab Jews from Syria, from Yemen, from Egypt have been largely absent from mainstream Jewish advocacy, media, culture. If your voices had been centered earlier, do you think that things would be different today around the conversation around Zionism?
It's a great question. I don't know. I can't speculate as to that. I understand the power of the voice and which audience are you targeting with that, right? I think the Palestinian movement would have had a much, much harder time painting the Jewish world as white European colonizers. although it's not true, right? Like I never consider an Ashkenazi Jew a European colonizer. Like it's insane. We're all one. We're one family. But they took advantage of this, right? Think about it. This entire pro-Palestinian movement looked at the Jewish community, and just like you said, you only knew Ashkenazi. And the reason may not be nefarious. It may not be because all these organizations hate the Mizrahi narrative. No, but it's like you come to me and you tell me, hey, make me a Shabbat dinner. Guess what's appearing on your Shabbat table, right? Kibbeh, lahm bajin, rice, peas. You're not seeing gefilte fish. You're not seeing matzo ball soup. Is it because I think it's lesser? No, it's because that's what I know. And so when the Jewish world, the people that set up these organizations were Ashkenazi Jews. That's who went into action. I mean, we're relatively new to this country. The Ashkenazi Jews, I mean, the Sephardic predate, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And so they set up these organizations. And so the world and representation and media never got a sense of the Mizrahi Jew. And so these pro-Palestinian sides saw this misbalance of the Jewish world and said, this is the time of DEI where white is horrible automatically and brown and black are the victims automatically. Let's just jump into this narrative. The Jews already drew half this narrative to us because everybody they put on TV, they talk about Israel. Whenever they need to defend Israel, it is followed with one and the same line. Do you know what happened in the Holocaust? You don't think we need a safe place. The Holocaust is tragic, but it's not the reason for the state of Israel.
Exists,
but we have said it so many times. So now how easy is it for me as a Palestinian to come up and say, listen, Habib Albi, I feel you. Wallah, I feel you. But what you do to me, you come from Germany, you come into my house, I open my house for you, you've survived the Holocaust, like you say, and you come in and then you kick me out and you throw me to the... But hold on, buddy, you're foolish. Right?
That's not why.
That's not what happened.
Yeah.
You didn't let anybody in. Muhammad Hadid never let in a Jewish family from Auschwitz that his family saved that later evicted them. We confronted him, asked him to name them. He had no idea. All these are lies. If the Jewish world would have centered, or not even centered, but at least shown a representation or made sure that the United States understood, that the mainstream understood the different variety of Jews, they couldn't have latched down to this argument. I'm going to give the perfect example and just hand it back to you on this, but it was a Norman Finkelstein quote, and I was attacked with it one time, right? And I actually asked Shai Davidai this question. We were out at 12 Chairs, and I said, Shai, let me tell you why Mizrahi voices are very important in this fight. Norman Finkelstein has a example. He says, if you want to understand the justification for October 7th, think of yourself as a battered spouse. You're a wife. Every day you're getting abused by your husband. You continue calling the police. You continue calling for help, and nobody is showing up. One day you can't take it anymore, so you get up and you kill your husband. And what's the continuation? That's what happened on October 7th. Da, da, da. Now, what is every Jew's response? Most people's response is, that's not what happened. There was no there was no oppression. There was no this. My question, my view, my point of view, because I lived as a Jew under the power that is Arab, is 1 minute. Who's the husband and who's the wife in this analogy of yours? Because to me, the Jews are the wife. To me, it is the Jews who lived for 1,400. You're crying of 75 years of occupation. It is the Jews who lived 1,400, 1,500 years under Islamic colonization, oppression, violence, demitude, having to pay extra jizyas in a homeland we occupied before the Arab colonization. And so if we are to go with this analogy of yours, then even if your account of the Nakba is accurate, then according to you, not only was I justified, but I should have actually went much harder. I should have been much more justified to resist the 1,400 years of hell that the Arabs caused the Jewish people. Now, I can say that. And it's a one-on-one because that's where I live. That's where my family came from. Just like if somebody wanted to fight white supremacy and Nazism and their family survived Auschwitz, they have that powerful voice in that attack much more than I will ever have because it's removed from my personal experience. That's the power of the Mizrahi voice. It changes the entire perception of the fight.
Totally. No, I've never heard it like that. And I love how passionate you're getting. And like,
let's go.
People get scared of you online. They're like, who's this Mizrahi Jew? Like, no, he's not scary.
I'm a nice guy. I swear.
No, he's a great guy. But you're just passionate and you know what you're talking about.
That was God saying,
wow,
you're right.
There's a big thunderstorm happening right now. That was crazy. Hashem heard you on that. And he's like, Mic drop. So getting back to, as someone who fled persecution yourself, what goes through your head when you hear words like genocide being thrown around?
I don't get offended. I laugh at it because it is such an obvious attempt of gaslighting the Jewish people. It is obviously not genocide. It's laughable to allege that Israel has committed genocide. But if that's what you want to believe, and you're stupid enough to believe that a genocide has occurred when only 70,000 people have died over 3 years in an urban modern war, okay. I can't fight illogical. I can't fight crazy. That's why I think we had this conversation. I have reached many more people in the Arab world than I have in America because the Western student is ideologically driven. The Western activist of the pro-Palestine movement has no facts to stand on, has no basis to any of their opinions. They believe in white is bad, black is good. This is A, that is B. There's nothing. They're literal sheep following instructions that have nothing to do with the actual facts.
Are you saying that those perspectives and minds can't be influenced or changed and the Arab world has been...
I'm saying the reason they're on board isn't because they actually believe it's a genocide. The reason the majority of these kids on college campus are outside with genocide from the river to the sea with all these catchy, kindergarten chants that they intentionally designed them so that your brain can have like a reaction by hearing the same kindergarten rhymes now associated with this.
Listen, they got some trendy slogans.
They're trendy, but these kids are ignorant and they're scared. It is a spineless generation. And with all due respect to the Jewish world, we became too complacent. We became about others first. We became weak. We became scared of our own power, trying to hide from ourselves. And the Palestinian movement saw that and they said, screw it. We're coming in with full dominance. So now you're a kid on college campus. You come off of college. You came from North Dakota. You're some random white kid. You enter college campus where you have one side of the Israelis like, we love everyone. Yay. From the, two-state solution is great. You can love Palestine because for the longest time before 2023 is you can be pro-Palestine, you can be pro-Israel, you can be pro-everything you want to be, right? And the other side is like, say the word Israel. I dare you. You genocide-supporting bastard. There's no conversation with you. So now as Bob from Idaho, I'm like, I really don't have a horse in this fight. I see one group of the Jews. They seem lovely people that aren't going to attack me. I can be on whatever side. And this other group will eat me alive if I even associate with this group. They're just gravitating through dominance, and they're the more dominant part today.
Going back, or not back, but this past weekend, when we're filming this past week was a big week in New York. So let's talk about Gracie Mansion first and foremost. So, because we're going in chronological order here, but you were at the protest outside of Gracie Mansion against Zohran Mamdani. What made you show up that day?
Well, I was one of the people that called to protest Mamdani outside of Gracie Mansion.
Oh, okay.
And then Jew hatred. I guess we both announced it at the same time, so I called Jew hatred. I'm like, we're not going to have dueling rallies. Obviously, like, we're in one cause.
Together,
I'm with you. And so they're amazing. Them and Stop Mamdani really set the entire thing up. So I'm not going to take any credit for them. I did nothing but like, oh, this is a great idea, maybe. And so I knew it was happening, and I knew it was important to show up. It is important to have our voices heard, especially against this mayor who loves to gaslight and make believe he has everybody in his pockets and the Jews love him. It was important to show New York and to show the world how much objection that there is to this individual, but more so, and the most important thing for me at least, was to send a message very clearly to him. And that's why I wanted to do it outside of Gracie Mansion, to send him the message that he is in fact powerless. There is nothing he can do in his power as mayor of New York City to make me run away from my identity as a Jew. There is nothing he can do as mayor of New York City that's going to make me hide my Zionism. There is nothing he's going to do as mayor of New York City that's going to make me back away from demanding my civil rights in this country. If he wants to tolerate the globalizing intifada and these terrorists on our streets going block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, targeting, harassing Jewish communities, that's his prerogative. But we are going to be there standing and fighting back, not complaining. I'm not asking him to do anything for me. I don't ask people that don't listen. All requests are going to fall on deaf ears. I'm telling him that we will come after him. We will demand our rights. And we did so. After Park East Synagogue, I called for a buffer zone outside of houses of worship. I started a petition. It got 12,000 signatures. The first phone call I got immediately within a day after the petition was Senator Sam Sutton in Brooklyn. Senator Sam Sutton said, his office and Joey Saban said, we love the petition. We're going to actually write this bill and introduce it. Over this weekend, Kathy Hochul signed it into law, 50-foot buffer zone. On top of that, I got it into Congress, where now there's a bill sitting at Congress to pass a federal buffer zone around houses of worship of 100 feet so these protesters do not block access. If passed, it will protect every house of worship in the nation. So Zohran Mamdani is powerless. He can continue trying to intimidate us and will continue to fight back. That's why I was there, to show him exactly who he is and who we are.
Wow, that's incredible that you were able to already get so much movement on this bill, and I hope it gets passed and it shows the power of the people and that you need to keep fighting a good fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was the Israel Day parade like, and were you surprised that Mamdani didn't show up?
It was so much fun. First of all, I think the security was overstated, how secure it was going to be. Unless it was like super secure.
I was nervous for you guys, to be completely honest.
I was nervous for myself at a certain point because I was like getting through all the blockades by just showing an email. I'm like, hey, I have a meeting. I'm meeting with the Israeli consulate here. Here's the email. And they're like, oh, he has an email. Let him through. I'm like, really?
Like, that's it? Yeah.
I got there and I stood there and I'm like, that shouldn't have happened this easily. Like,
that's a little scary.
Right? But there were so many cops, guns everywhere. Right?
I mean, it ended up being
protection.
Fine,
Baruch Hashem was fine. Yeah. We were there. I know a lot of people were nervous. A lot of people were frightened, scared. Some people were talking about wearing bulletproof vests. I mean, I went with my 4 kids. So, like, it was me, my wife, my 4 kids. If I'm going to get shot, I'm going to get shot. I'm not going to wear a bulletproof vest and bring my 4 kids to this protest. Nothing was going to happen. I have faith to heaven.
Jessica Tish, let's talk about her. She's a queen,
amazing.
this woman.
Yo,
the fact that she
killed him with
said,
that.
I will stand. What was the quote?
And
the mayor may not march, but
I'm going to let you try and then fumble and then I'll pick it up and fix it.
All I know is she said, I will march proudly.
Yeah. So
I was like, yes.
She said, it is the mayor's prerogative not to march.
The mayor's decision not to march.
Yes, the mayor's decision not to march. And it's my decision
to march proudly.
She should have said bitch at the end.
Yeah.
And she really didn't.
No,
like,
she didn't.
What a wasted opportunity.
She made her point. Like,
She's great.
Yeah, that was incredible. And
can I ask you something? It's your podcast.
You can ask me anything.
So the mayor had the Shavuot party in the office, right? I'm bringing drama. I need to bring drama. This is the podcast.
Let's talk about it.
Come on, all right. And I saw the Jews that were invited, and they were all of particular leaning. All of them leaned way left. They may argue and say they're not all the way left. They're center left. Most of them, in my opinion, go way left. A lot of them, in the beginning, I said, you know what? I'm not so against them going. Why? Because they actually made a video and said something. They said, look, we need representation in that room. Whether you like him or you don't like him, there needs to be somebody that counters him. There needs to be somebody that holds him accountable. And you know what? I said, you're 100% right. I'm not mentioning names, right? I said, you're right. I applaud you. I applaud you.
Yeah.
2 or 3 people made the same video. And I said, okay, great. I waited for the event to happen. The event happened. I'm waiting for videos. Were there any disruption? Did any one of the Jews say, Am Yisrael Hai inside? Did anyone wear a pin? Did anyone say anything? Were there any conversations? Did any minds change? My question is, why did you feel it necessary to justify your presence at an event and say what you're going to do when you could have just went, you have free will, it's America, and say, no, I'm here to protect and to demand and to be the opposite, and then nothing comes out of it? If you just wanted to go because it's cool and you got invited to a mayor's party and like, other than Israel, you and this mayor agree on 99% of the things, just be honest about that to your followers, to everybody. Be like, okay, listen, we don't see eye to eye in Israel, but this mayor is okay for me on 80% of the other issues. But don't say that you're there to challenge him and then you do nothing to challenge him. You produce nothing that actually goes against the propaganda show that he put on.
His narrative. Yeah, no, for sure.
So what do you think about that?
I don't know how any Jew can support him, to be completely honest. So I feel like you're just preaching the choir here, to be honest. Like, this is not going to be an interesting
echo chamber
discussion, candidly, but it just upsets me. It just upsets me.
Forget it.
Yeah, I just don't have much to add because I'm like, there's nothing I'm going to say that's groundbreaking here. It's upsetting. I mean, listen, as someone that left New York before he came into office, I'm like, thank God I did.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are thinking about it now.
I think it's like very scary to see that even after October 7th, Jews continue to vote for people that are against us. And it's not even just about the Jews. It's his policies in general. I'm dumbfounded. So I really
I'm not
just have no
dumbfounded.
words.
I'll be honest. I actually understand the Jews that voted for him because they believe in evolving to assimilate to the nth degree. We need to be honest about conversations. I saw a rabbi come up with something this past weekend. I never heard of this rabbi before, Emmanuel Hirsch, and he's the leader of the Reform movement in New York City. And what he said was so powerful. He was issuing a strong warning to the Reform movement. Now, a lot of times people go, like, you think you're anti-reform? I'm like, I'm not anti-anything. I'm issuing the warning. That's what the rabbi issued literally. And I'm like, this is amazing. I need to meet him. So Rabbi, if you're watching, please reach out to me. I'd love to have this conversation. Where he said, if we believe, if there is a perception even that the Reform movement has abandoned Zionism or moved away from it or is tolerating anti-Zionism, we have failed. We are going to lose our children. And he's right. But I have one more question, right? It is understandable why these kids got to the level they got to. When you change everything about your culture, it is very Western here in this country that I've experienced, where like Syrian Jews, Mizrahi Jews, even Ashkenazi Jews that I know in Venezuela, elsewhere, if you violate Shabbat, you just say, I don't keep Shabbat. It is a very unique American and European trait to say, I don't violate Shabbat. I keep it my way. What do you mean? What's your way? We're a people belong to a constitution. The United States Constitution is the United States Constitution. That's what binds us as Americans. The Torah is what binds us. You don't have to follow every law, but you can't change it and individualize it to absolve yourself from any liability or any obligation or any conscious feeling. And why do you do that? Because you lived in a country where you were so accepted, or you had this perception that you were so accepted. These rules of Shabbat, of all these kashrut, they were acting as barriers to you truly assimilating with these people for the first time in a very long time who seemingly accept you, who just want you to go with them to a football game on a Friday night. Why can't you just get into that car? And so you say, you know what? Hashem, I love you and I love Judaism and I don't want to break Shabbat. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say driving the car on Shabbat is not breaking Judaism. It's not breaking Shabbat for me. And when you start down that road, you can't put it beyond human logic or comprehension for your kid to be faced with the same question now. And his friends in college are saying, you have this one little thing that's stopping you from truly being one of us. And that's your attachment to this idea of Israel. Your parents have been here 3-4 generations. Evolve out of it. Just like you've evolved out of Shabbat. Just like you said, the laws of Moses are no longer relevant in a modern world. Do you really think a land of Israel from 70 AD was necessary to be brought back in 1948? And that's how these kids change. Because it is a logical argument, and I would buy it if I grew up in that movement. It is time to go back to taking accountability to what is right, to understanding what Judaism is, what our identity is, to understanding that there are tribal laws, recognizing the laws. I'm not saying keeping all of them, but at least recognizing that this is what binds us as a nation. It is what binds us as a people. And I'm not going to start changing them for my personal preference so I can fit in with Bob and John and Edward. I'm going to hold on to my identity at all costs. When you do that, you don't get anti-Zionist children. You just don't.
But what if you don't succumb to this idea that like, okay, I can do this one thing or one or two things and Hashem will forgive me. Like, what if you say, okay, I don't keep Shabbat, but these are the things that I am going to do
but
to
you see
feel
what
connected.
You just said right now? I don't keep Shabbat.
Yeah, that's the difference.
That's the difference.
Okay.
It is, I'm a rabbi and I'm the holiest of holies. Come kiss my hand. Let me give you a blessing. And I keep Shabbat because, in my opinion, what God meant about Shabbat is rest. And since I'm not working technically, it is a mitzvah for me to drive my car on Shabbat to go to the synagogue, because when I drive to go to the synagogue, I'm enjoying, and there's a mitzvah to have Oneg Shabbat. It is the bastardization of the law to make it fit your life so you don't have to take accountability for something that you may not agree with or may not be at your level. I'm saying, just say I don't keep Shabbat.
Yeah.
It's beseder.
Beseder.
No problem.
No problem. Just own it. I was wondering what your thinking was there because I'm like thinking about myself as someone that never kept Shabbat. My family never even.
Right.
I didn't even grow up doing Shabbat dinner, but now like it's routine for me to light my candles Friday night. Do I drive on Shabbat? Yes. Do I not wash my hands? Like whatever. Like do I speak? Whatever.
I'm with you. I'm
I
not
don't keep
perfect on
Shabbat.
it.
I'm not perfect, but I
None of
like
us are.
to implement some of the. I like to take some things, and that's my way of feeling spiritually connected.
Right. And like, let's say now, would you say you do more Friday night Kiddush? No?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
And does that make you feel more connected?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Like
So
immensely.
now let me take you back to before you did Friday night Kiddush. Imagine instead of you saying, I just don't do Friday night Kiddush, you started putting in your head and your parents started teaching you that Friday night Kiddush is an outdated concept. The real thing to commemorate Friday night Shabbat is to watch your local college football game. And that's what your Kiddush was. Would you feel as connected? That's the issue.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I do agree with you. Okay, you have a point there, Mr. Attorney. I'm like, I see it now. So, no, this has been such a great conversation.
It's been fun.
And I need to ask you one final question.
Hit it.
So we started this podcast talking about where you're from in Syria. What would you, if you're speaking to someone that doesn't know like modern day Syria, its people, like what would you want people to know about modern day Syria today?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a beautiful country with beautiful people. As I said, it's usually the minority and a blind government that makes problems. I think that the people of Syria, the people of Lebanon, who I've been speaking to a lot of them on these OMI TV conversations and whatever other apps on Mingle, they're tired of this conflict. I'm starting to approach the conversation with them in a different way. That is, they're really taking it to heart. And it's something that goes like, be Syria first, be Lebanon first. I tell them for the longest time of our history, you said, you're a Syrian Jew, you're a Zionist, you're a traitor to this country because you're teaming up with the enemy. But when I challenge them and I ask them, why is Israel the enemy? Who made Israel Syria's enemy? If it wasn't for Syria's involvement, if it wasn't for Lebanon's involvement in this artificial cause that was put up by the Arab world for a supremacist motivation, the Palestinian movement, Syria would have not gone to war with Israel and lost the Golan Heights. So I am not asking, and I as a Jew have never asked Syria to go to war for Israel. I've never asked Syria to do anything for Israel. It is the Palestinian population. It is the people who continue wanting this reactive identity that was born as the alternative to the state of Israel, to fight the state of Israel, this weaponized identity. It is these people that are asking you, Syrian, you Lebanese, to continue sacrificing your life for the next 80 years, 100 years, just like you did, to fight for a foreign cause that is not Syria. What I want to see is Syria making peace with Israel, Lebanon making peace with Israel, economic opportunities flourishing in the Middle East, and people in the Middle East, especially younger guys, are taking to this message because they want a different life. Actually, I think you have a better shot there than you do here. And the last thing I want everybody to understand, especially in the Jewish space, people who think they're arguing for Israel rights and Palestinian rights and saying we can be both, and I believe in a two-state solution, that statement actually in the Arabs' eyes works against you 100%. And this is per se what they will tell you. Do you remember the story of Solomon? This is the quote. This is how they will respond. Two women brought a baby to Solomon. One woman told Solomon, the baby's mine. The other woman told Solomon, the baby's mine. King Solomon said, you know what? Let's chop the baby in half. You take half and she takes half. One woman said, okay, great, let's do that. The other woman said, no, absolutely not. Give her the entire baby. It's either all mine or she can have it entirely. We, the Palestinian people, will never split our land in half. We will never split our property in half because we know we're the true owners, just like that mother was the true mother. But you Jews, you know already that you don't really belong here. You Jews are willing already to take half, go away, just take half, leave me alone, let me. That's just how they're perceiving it. It's not about niceness. It's about why do you start this negotiation coming in saying, I'm willing to give you 50%. It doesn't make sense on any other. Go to a shuk in Israel. I want to know how easy it is to negotiate with any vendor. But in this situation, Israel starts with, here's 50%. It works against us because the Arab people feel insignificant. They feel small when people say, I'm both pro-Palestine, pro-Israel. Palestinians, the majority of them, the mainstream. And people are like, no, that's not the mainstream. Then show me a mainstream organization in the West. One that has tens of thousands of Palestinian followers. There's millions of them, right? Tens of thousands, that's it. That support a two-state solution, that support peace with Israel, that support coexistence. And then you'll have Jewish activists saying you can be both. Well, how could you be both? You're just taking away Palestinians' right to self-determination that you say you believe in, because they have self-determined. The majority of them self-determined from the river to the sea, no more Israel. So if you want to be pro these people who have self-determined to the destruction of Israel, then you can't be pro-Israel. And it's bullshit. And Arabs hate, they're full of shit, but they hate bullshit in a very weird, odd way. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, they lie to get to their goal, but they'll never lie about the goal. I have to think about a better way to put it, but yeah.
I hear what you're saying. I would love to know, like, what people are saying in your DMs, like some of your Arab listeners.
Oh my God, you want to crack up?
Yes.
I caused a security incident at the Mamdani protest.
Oh God, let's hear it.
So there's one protester who's always in the streets. His name is Anus. Considers himself Palestinian. He identifies as Palestinian, and he's been on Canary Mission. He's been on Stop Anti-Semitism, like Anti-Semite of the Week, stepping on the Israeli flag. And he talks to me all the time, and I entertain him, you know. I don't care. It's like, I'm like, what's going on?
Like, he talk in person when you see him,
like
or over
he DMs me, I respond. I'm like, you know, you're a moron. You look like an unkempt monkey flicking his own shit at the zoo. And he takes to it, and he's very appreciative of my criticism, because I'm like, listen, what are you doing? You're sacrificing your future. You're a martyr financially. Congratulations. Nobody's going to hire you. You suck. You've done nothing. You have not intimidated me, not one bit. Eventually, like, he goes, literally, I can show you the message. I wish we had the time to show you the message. He literally responds, can you help me? Because I'm like, this is not the way to do it. You're screaming, you're this, you're that. Can you help me? And he started opening up to me about how his life has been. And he's an outrageous anti-Semite. I think he's logical. He can be whatever he wants. But at that point, I had that human interaction, right? And so I continued talking with him. And he's like, I see you're coming to protest Mamdani. I'm like, yeah. He goes, I'm coming to counter protest you. I'm like, okay, but I just want to warn you. If, you know, you bark too loud in my face, I'm liable, you know, to get a little violent. Like, don't do it. He's like, no, I'm diplomatic. I would never. I'm like, good. He's like, I just want to shake your hand and get a selfie. I'm like, you got it.
He wants a selfie with you.
He wants a selfie. We're going to go get hookah soon. He's on every anti-Semite of the week,
this
right?
This is hilarious. Okay.
He's like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to come. I'm like, okay, but if you're going to, I'm going to be very thirsty. Get me a drink and wait for me. So when after I protest against Mamdani, I want something to cool my throat. So go buy me a drink and come back. He's like, well, I'm boycotting Coca-Cola. I'll get you Salam Cola. I'm like, I don't want that bullshit bootleg things from Palestine. Go get me a water. He goes, fine, water it is. The guy that day, poor guy, he texts me. He goes, do you want ice cold water, room temperature? I'm like, ice cold. He goes, okay, walk in to get you the water. He literally texts me, I got off at City Hall. Where are you guys? Where are you protesting? I'm like, no, we're at Gracie Mansion. Counter protester, come see us over there. Where's my fucking water? I'm thirsty. I was dying of thirst. I wanted a drink already. The guy came. He's like, oh, you're jumping on the train now to get your water. He came with 2 bottles of water. Poor guy came to the entrance of the security. Security calls me. We're not letting this guy in. Like, he's an instigator. The whole vlog is like, what are you doing? I'm like, did he really come?
Your water?
Yeah, he really came to bring me water. Right. So like, this individual, is he crazy? Is he out of his mind? He's lost. And I speak the language and I speak Arabic and I can have that rapport with him. And I don't care if he hates Israel. And I don't care if he hates the Jews. I don't get offended or triggered by anything. You can curse me, spit. I don't care. As long as you are not actually making an actual difference in my life, the second you discriminate against me, commit violence against me, I'll act. But how you feel in your heart, I don't really give a shit. I'm loved enough to not care if you like me or not, right? And so when you have that attitude, you can start trying to reach that common ground. So when I get back to New York, I'm probably going to try to meet this kid and have him, my demand from him, he wants to debate me. I told him I will not debate until he publicly apologizes to every single Jew that he protested in the city acting like an uncontrolled gorilla at a zoo. And so when he does that for me on camera, I'll entertain him in a conversation.
I like that. That's a good idea. You know, when we get off, I want you to send me the links to to see what he's done. So we have some proof here and we can follow up with that after this episode goes.
He's a good guy. No, he's not.
We'll put him on blast.
He's not a great guy, but he's not
definitely not a good guy. But listen,
he has his people. He's standing with his people.
You're having a conversation and maybe you could change one mind. You never know.
That's the goal.
And
right?
honestly, you're just being a good human to him. And he clearly
That's
he
the
needs
goal.
someone, and
He told me you're the only Zionist I can tolerate. And I am. And by the way, in the Jewish world, the funny thing is, if the most of the organizational world used to call me extremist or like, oh no, he's too offensive to Palestinians. Most of them, they have. I swear, I'm going to show you. Another guy has a upside down triangle in his profile. Pro Hamas. He sends me happy birthdays. He sends my wife like happy anniversary. Like you're like doing great.
Love me,
Your
guys.
kids
What do you mean?
I don't
extreme?
know. I get zero death threats. Like, I get the only people that attack me are white lefty liberals who like are for, we need to stand up for the brown man, and they always fucking attack the brown man. Them or the lefty Jews. Man. Nobody else. Nobody. Like the Arabs are like my boys, half of them.
That's because listen, you're Arab.
Here we go. We're back at this again. That's
full circle.
That's it.
Well, Amy, thank you for being here. This was amazing.
Awesome time.